On today's wrestling news, Zelina Vega returns to WWE on SmackDown.
We have all the Money in the Bank news from SmackDown.
We have a bunch more NXT stars getting dark matches on SmackDown.
And The Rock reveals one of his biggest WWE regrets.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? Yes, my name is Phil Chambers and I'm joined by Gareth Morgan to talk all things wrestling news. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video and comment down below what you think of all today's stories, and links are in the description to little timestamps of each story. Click them and off you go. But first up, Zelina Vega returned to WWE last night on WWE SmackDown. Sonya Deville came out and she announced her as an entrant into the Money in the Bank, into the Women's Money in the Bank match. And then Liv Morgan came out to complain about it again, and it was kind of rinse and repeat of what happened last week with Carmella. Then they had a match afterwards, just like they did last week with Carmella, and there was a bunch of roll-up attempts towards the end of the match, and Zelina Vega rolled up Liv Morgan. She grabbed the tights, but the referee saw it, and she said, no, not having any of that. And then as Zelina Vega was arguing with the referee, Liv Morgan rolls her up, 1, 2, 3, beat her in about 3 minutes on her return to WWE SmackDown. I'm gonna sneeze. No, I'm good. So, the PW Insider are reporting that she is back full-time with the WWE and that she was very well hidden because they really wanted to keep it a secret from everyone, so she had the sort of shock value of appearing on SmackDown. Zelina Vega was also playing full heel in this role. And yeah, like I say, she's in the Money in the Bank match. No idea what's next for Zelina Vega, but boy howdy are SmackDown desperate for more women in that roster, so it's definitely good that she is back.
Yeah, but like you just said, it's seriously depleted. I think you could use the word there for that women's roster right now. They've just needed somebody like of this kind of caliber to come back in as a heel. She's a hell of a talker. Like you saw that just as soon as she took the mic, it was like, oh, finally somebody can command this ring. Brilliant. But it's I don't know. You don't want to get too bogged down in the negatives of this because it's great that she's back. It's great that she had a match straight away, and she's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. Like she's in a really big marquee kind of position, like straight off the bat. But the fact that she got beaten in a 3-minute match, yeah, it's a roll up, yeah, it's a screwy finish, and I know you're allergic to them, hence why you sneezed. But it's just, oh, I don't know. It's just a bit underwhelming. I don't want to say that because like she's brilliant, and I think she'll do great things on SmackDown if she's given a platform to do it. But
yes.
You just don't, it didn't feel as special as it could have done. You maybe could have saved this for Money in the Bank. There could be another point why they've not. There might be an even bigger surprise coming down the road at Money in the Bank. But it does feel a bit like they've spaffed a few big returns just in the last dying embers of the Thunderdome, and it's a bit like, oh, we don't like the surprises here. We don't really get the full effect of them.
It's pointless here.
So yeah, that's how I feel. Like, pointless I feel like it's harsh, but yeah, it was a little bit. It just felt like it could have been done elsewhere, maybe in front of crowds, and I don't know. Yeah. She'll do great though. She will do great. It's not her fault.
She will, absolutely. She is great, and yeah, it's a welcome return, especially on SmackDown with the tiny women's roster that they have over there. And most importantly, if Zelina Vega's happy with it all, then that is the main thing, really, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely spot on. But that was not the only Money in the Bank news that went down on SmackDown last night, because we did have a big old last man standing match between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It was obviously announced last week. We got it, and it lived up to the hype. I'm sorry, I'm not going to oversell, undersell. I'm just going to sell it as it is. This match was outstanding, and it felt like perhaps the closing of the latest chapter of the Sami Zayn Kevin Owens saga, which is just epic, beyond epic every single time it goes out. The finish saw Kevin Owens go Super Saiyan, really. He went mad. He just powerbombed Sami Zayn through the announce desk, he powerbombed him through 2 tables, he stunned him, and he powerbombed him on the apron. He just literally, if there was a thing to powerbomb Sami Zayn on, he found it, he did it. It was just magnificent stuff. So Kevin Owens is going to be in that Money in the Bank ladder match, and that match is looking star-studded beyond belief right now. It's just got names left, right, and center. But that wasn't the only news for Money in the Bank. There was more stuff. We got 2 more matches announced for the last 2 places in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. That's going to be next week. So we're going to have King King Skay, I know you said King Corbin, that's not a thing. They've dedicated a week and a half, so that's 2 weeks to make sure that's not a thing. But King Skay Nakamura is going to be taking on Baron Corbin, Saddle Corbin, and we're also going to have Seth Rollins against Cesaro. So yes, we've had those matches quite a few times in recent memory, but new stakes, new stipulations, yeah, it means they're going to be more special. And we're also more news for Money in the Bank. It was just the gift that kept on giving last night. We're going to have Bianca Belair once again going up against Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, but there is a difference this time around because it's going to be an I Quit match at Money in the Bank, and it seemed to kind of be hinted at that if Bayley isn't able to get the job done here, she might be nudged off SmackDown or WWE as a whole. Probably not the latter part because Bayley's amazing, they're never going to get rid of Bayley, but maybe this could open the door for her to move over to Raw in the draft, or maybe even before the draft if she's like made to leave town. Obviously, your mind will probably jump straight away to this time last year when Sonya Deville lost an I Quit, loser, leaves town, whatever it is, match, and then she kind of came back, didn't she? She's not wrestled since, so that's something, I guess. But this is what they're going to do. They're going to go for the third time in 3 pay-per-views that they're going to have Bayley against Bianca Belair. Great matches every time. Not that upset about it, but we'll just have to see what the future holds for these two.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where the build has never been amazing, but the matches themselves have been great. So no idea how they warrant getting to a third match of this when Bayley's already lost twice, quite clean on pay-per-view. But it's I Quit. It's got higher stakes, I guess. Can it be higher stakes than Hell in a Cell? That's a stupid pay-per-view. Always get things a bit backwards. And yeah, but the sort of hints that she might be leaving SmackDown or whatever, which again, in itself, kind of be welcome to sort of mix up the scene a little bit and sort of rotate who is at the top of these divisions. And Bayley, I think, would do great things over on Raw because she'll do great things wherever the hell she goes. But yeah, exciting times for Money in the Bank. It's shaping up to be a good, fun pay-per-view, and crowds are back, which is the main thing.
I know, next week's the last SmackDown in the Thunderdome. I'm so happy, Phil. I never thought this day would come.
They better throw someone through every single one of those screens before they get rid of the Thunderdome.
Yeah, they have to.
They have to. But yes, speaking of SmackDown, before SmackDown, indeed, a bunch of NXT stars got some more dark matches. Now, this is happening quite a bit recently, it seems. Obviously, we had Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed had some dark matches last week and a couple of weeks ago, and then they had matches on Main Event as well. And we've also had news of Vince McMahon taking a little trip to the Performance Center to check out some of the sort of new recruits and see what's happening with the future of WWE. But as of this, last night, Toni Storm, Karrion Kross, Shotzi Blackheart, and Odyssey Jones all got a dark match sort of tryout kind of thing before SmackDown. Now, PW Insider reported that Toni Storm faced Shotzi Blackheart in that on the event. Odyssey Jones faced Robert Roode, and Karrion Kross faced Cesaro. You can't really ask for a better pair of hands to get in a dark match, really, than Cesaro. So this is the second dark match that Karrion Kross has had, I think, and he also had that match on Main Event as well. This is the second one that Shotzi Blackheart's had, and the first for both Odyssey Jones and Toni Storm, but kind of hinting at what WWE might be looking at for the future.
Yeah, I feel like I've not seen a lot of Odyssey Jones. I'm not going to lie and just say, like, oh, it'd be a perfect fit for the main roster. I'm not 100% sure what he can bring to the table in that regard. But in terms of Cross, Blackheart, Storm, Bronson Reed, Scarlett, these people have all been linked to dark matches, and they've been backstage at Raw and SmackDown in recent times. I can see what they see in them for main roster runs. It's whether they're actually going to double down on them and give them like a heightened version of what they've got in NXT. Because if you do that for Cross, you got something special there for the main roster, personally. But if you do what you did on Main Event with him, is not going to do very well at all. Like, it's not going to work out. But I think perhaps putting him in dark matches against people like Cesaro, who's so technically brilliant, it'll really either expose his shortcomings when it comes to his actual in-ring ability, or perhaps Cesaro brings out the absolute best in him, which I probably lean towards the latter, because Cesaro's that kind of guy. He's not going to try and embarrass him.
I can have a 5-star match with Cesaro and he just carry me through it.
Yeah,
literally. Exactly.
So I'm quietly hopeful that when they do, if they do, like all these names, when they do come up to the main roster, they're gonna. You just hope they do good things with them. We've had enough of people just being, I don't know, just fumbled. If you look at people like Riddle and Damian Priest in recent times, they've not been too bad on Raw. I think they've been handled better than what we've seen in recent memory. Keith Lee's a bit of an exception. I don't know what they're doing with Keith Lee right now. I don't know what the actual circumstances are there. And people like
find
me.
That one day, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's one of them. But I just hope you do. You just hope that they're handled well going forward.
Absolutely.
But in the complete shift, really, away from dark matches and NXT and just the future, we'll look into the past. All right? How about that? How about that for a segue? We'll look into the past. And the Great One himself took to Twitter recently. He was responding to the Hurricane. Obviously, those two had their old thing, that the big iconic rivalry. I know it should have been the main event of WrestleMania, but that's a story for a different time. The Hurricane was doing a bit of cardio on Twitter, and he was watching The Rock against Booker T from SummerSlam 2001. He said, two of my favourite opponents and favourite people I've worked with in the biz. I wish these two would have had more matches together, and probably a lot of people would agree. And one of those people was The Rock himself. He sought out this tweet. He responded to the Hurricane, and he said, thank you, brother. I do too, actually. One of my biggest regrets was not having a long run with Book. He was one of my favourite workers and the best pure athlete I've ever wrestled. Fluid, sharp, believable movements and working style. I always say his moves had a rare swagger. Seeing as though The Rock actually went against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam was like a year later or 2 years later, that is quite the compliment he just paid there to Booker T, because yeah, that's best pure athlete he's ever wrestled. Obviously they did have that big WCW Championship match at SummerSlam. They worked a few other matches as well down the line, but it's interesting to note that he wanted a more extended run. I mean, I would have probably liked to see that as well. I always thought the bookend versus the Rock Bottom was a fun enough story for me, but that's, yeah, really interesting to see the Rock's perspective on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people say this about Booker T, that not only sort of in-ring was he a great opponent, but sort of backstage and in all the sort of talking segments and things as well. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun with Booker T. So you can see why. And I was going to bring up the exact same thing of what is the better finisher, the bookend or the Rock Bottom. We need to find out.
That's a comment section question right there.
Isn't it? Let us know down below. But speaking of questions, let's move over to your Twitter questions. And the first one of today comes from Dalton Barnett, who says, do you think they are announcing the women like this so that when it gets to the first live show, they can announce Becky Lynch and get the pop?
Ooh, perhaps, or like as we kind of alluded to earlier, they could save that one for Money in the Bank itself. They could do the old switcheroo. I know they're fond of that. Somebody gets jumped backstage and injured, and Becky comes back in and yeah, saves the day. That'd be great. I need a big pop for my Lynch when she comes back.
Yeah, it would be a good way to bring her back, especially considering how she left when she sort of handed over the belt after Money in the Bank last year to Asuka, and then coming back as like Money in the Bank. That's her way to get straight back into the top. However, I think they're just announcing the women like this on SmackDown because they physically don't have enough women on SmackDown to do qualifying matches. Like before Zelina Vega came back, they had 7 women on that roster. Now that Zelina Vega's back, they have 8. One of those is Bianca Belair, who's your champion. 2 of those are your tag team champions. One of those is Sasha Banks, who we haven't seen since WrestleMania. That leaves you 4 people to do qualifying matches to put 4 people into a Money in the Bank match.
Doesn't make for pretty reading, that, does it?
No, not really. So I think that's why they're doing it, unfortunately. But still, I would love to see Becky Lynch back. The next question comes from Mr. Ghost, who says, what is the first event you'd like to attend after things become fully open again?
Ooh, I was actually thinking about this morning. I really want to, I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'd really like to go to the Madison Square Garden SmackDown. I think that'll be great. I think it's been so long since they've had a proper show that's been a Raw or SmackDown or a pay-per-view in Madison Square Garden. I think it'll blow the roof off the place, and it's just one of the most legendary arenas ever, isn't it?
Yeah, fair. I think mine is either just whatever the first WWE event, they've announced the live tour that's coming to Newcastle, so we're probably going to go to that anyway, just because why the hell not? B, as soon as North is back in Newcastle, the local independent thing, just getting back to indie wrestling, it's just going to be really good fun. And C, I'm going to cheat and just give 3 answers. I've always wanted to go to a Royal Rumble, and it's like the one big event that I've never been to. I've been to SummerSlam, I've been to WrestleMania, but yeah, the Royal Rumble, that's my like bucket list event to go to right there.
Didn't know we could choose 3, Phil, but yeah,
well, I'm doing it.
That's fine. That's fine. You do you, buddy.
You lose 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's it.
The next question comes from Chris Chopping, who says, should Cameron Grimes do his own belt collector gimmick where he just carries around replicas he's bought from WWE Shop?
I mean, he can afford it, so why not? I mean, if anybody could pull off something as goofy as that, yeah, easy guy. Why not? Just anything they throw at him right now, it's sticking, so why not?
Yeah, fair. I'm all game for it. But the last question comes from long-time watcher, first-time caller, I'm pretty sure, Simon Miller. Never heard of him before. How do we get Baron Corbin his money back?
Well, we've just said it, really. Cameron Grimes, easy guy. Just give him a call, see how Dogecoin's doing, and yeah, he'll help you out. Either that, or he needs to have a conversation with Repo Man, really, doesn't he?
This is fair. I was thinking he might just need to invest a little bit in MGF's Bitcoin kind of thing that he's got set up. See where that goes. I think Dogecoin's a bit old hat now. It's all about the MJF coin.
Right, you just exposed me here for my lack of knowledge and understanding of the cryptocurrency market, Phil. But yeah, thanks. That's fine. That's fine.
God,
that's why I'm not rich.
2 weeks ago, Gareth.
I feel like Corbin.
Anyway, that was today's news. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Phil Chambers. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilMyChambers, and you can follow Gareth
at GMorgan04.
And you can follow all of us at WhatCulture WWE. Like I say, make sure you like the video, comment down below what you think of all of today's stories, and what is better, the bookend or the rock bottom. Let us know. Subscribe to the channel. Do all the other things. Ups and Downs for SmackDown is coming up soon, so watch that as well. And watch some other videos while you're at it, because YouTube likes it when you click stuff. It helps. But most importantly though, have yourselves a bloody good day.
Bye-bye.